when you go on the ground, there's even some quarrels with the tenant. He says, I paid, and you start going to M-Pesa and all that. I was just figuring out, I am outside the country. How do I track that? How do I get a reliable caretaker? How will I be following up and know who has paid and who has not paid? My name is Enoch Mambili. I come from Kitale. I do businesses in Eldoret and in Nairobi, but by profession, I'm a teacher.
Can you tell us a bit about your journey as a landlord? How did you get started?
I mean, it was a crazy journey for me. When I started, I didn't have any idea of how to collect rent, how to manage tenants, and because I was also not very on the ground, it was very difficult for me to figure out how to go. And that was in a span of 3 months. I was running crazy already. My mind was, I mean, I was keeping a little bit of so many books, so many things that were not adding together. And so I started looking for what can I do. I mean, that was too much for me. And, with my little head, I couldn't grasp everything. So I thought, why should I not find a way of managing? And that's how I started. But before that, I had never done, I had never put up houses. I had never run anything to do with rentals or whatever. It was my first one. So everything was a bit tough to start off.
How did you learn about Silqu?
I started researching around, and then my wife told me there was something that was somewhere Silqu, somebody was talking about. There's a property management kind of company that can solve your problems. And then there was a mobile on that. We called a lady called, what's her name? I'll remember. I'm getting old. So yeah, so we got the number, and then we presented our problem and said, let's have a discussion about it. And there was a video conferencing that we had 2 demos, and we felt this is an idea we should go for. And I think that was in our 3rd month. So already in our 3rd month, we were running crazy. Myself and my wife were running crazy on how to handle our property.
At that period of time, what would you say was your worst experience?
So there were a couple of things. So you have somebody on the ground who is dealing with the tenants the way they come in, and keeping track of all those expenses was just becoming difficult already. And I don't like figures, but I like numbers when they come in lump sum. So I was just figuring out, I am outside the country. How do I track that? How do I get a reliable caretaker? How will I be following up and know who has paid and who has not paid? So the initial thing, even before I get into that, was figuring on, because I'm a planner, so how do I sort out all these things? So it was like all of a sudden I realized that there's quite a lot that is supposed to be, this pot, you only see the rent, but that rent, there's a lot of cooking that has to happen, has to tracking of that. So I just figured out that I will not manage.
How has your life changed since switching to Silqu?
As you know, my journey was like already in the 4th month, and I was trying to figure out what kind of packages to keep, whatever. But when that happened, my life has become, I think I sleep well. I am able to get reports, and I am able to be confident that there's somebody somewhere, or somewhere following up on some of the things that I would not have been. But also the numbers, trying to know who has paid, who has not paid, and of course, again, the issue of what a payment came in. So following all those things in the first 3 months, was piecing things together was a problem. And the caretaker could not be able to do that. So when that happened, I think my pressure, because I think I wasn't sleeping very well, because I was always thinking around that just dropped. I'm able to sleep soundly.
How has Silqu impacted your relationship with your tenants?
I think one of the things that I'll be happy is the way I think they handle their clients. Tenants are going into very difficult circumstances, very difficult. And sometimes this issue of, I think since we started, out of the clients that have defaulted, it was only one that we tried to put a padlock on the whatever. The rest, there have been negotiation, and you see, actually, was it last month we had a big balance of some tenants, but we've seen that reduce. We've maintained the tenants. We are working with them. I think Silqu has been able to work with them through the journey. So it's kind of, you are looking at a tenant, not just rent, but a person who is also keeping you, making you what you are. So we've seen even tenants that were a bit difficult, they're able to to pay even their arrears, and they're almost, I would say I'm happy with the progress. Some have not paid to date, but that has reduced from, I think we've reduced that balance with more than 60%. I have already, even my brother, by the way, the one I'm talking about, Kitale, he is my own brother who has been running rental for the last almost 15 years. And I'm saying that's the way to go, because when we sit together and he tells me about, I don't know even who has paid and who has not paid. I can't track. And sometimes when you go on the ground, there's even some quarrels with the tenant. He says, I paid, and you start going to M-Pesa and all that. I would say automate your service. Automate your service. And it's not for now. I think for even future, if you want to do such kind of business, automate your service.
What was your first impression of the platform and the team?
At the beginning, I was a bit ish with the. Oh yeah, the lady is called Sabina. Yes, Sabina. So at the beginning was a bit of ish, um, especially where you'd say you'd hold money and then money comes to your account. Some people become a little bit jittery about that. So that was the initial a bit of jittery, and then I think I also, because we had not had a relationship with the team, it was a bit difficult to, we wanted things to move very fast, which was a bit frustrating on our side. This one has not been done, this has been done. But the more we understood and they were able to explain to us, I think that changed and softened up. And sometimes when one of your staff talks, I said, just handle that the way you handled the other one. Yeah. So I think the relationship has grown over time, I would say. And that has been, let me say, I've been working with Hazel. She's very soft spoken. Even when I'm mad, she says, Enoch, we'll handle this. So that handling with a person who listens to you, understands your frustration, and provides solutions. Then I've also come to delegate. I mean, like delegate more. Even there are times where I've thought the ideas that I have, I can be able to slot out ideas on how we should be able to improve on some of these things. And I think there are areas that I think now that it's automation, we can be able to improve as we go, because innovation is about solving the challenges as they come. And on my side, I would want most of this, everything, including anything that I spend on my property is captured. So that, but to answer your question, is at the beginning was a bit difficult because something new, it's very different, and this is Kenya.
Yeah.
And it's also online things, and you hear about fraud, people, cyber, people attacking systems and money going. So it is something that it was a build up, and I think we are still building now, but the confidence of building is on a different threshold. It's not on the start point. It's now at the peak point where we are now making the finer details that we think can be improved. And for me, I believe that any system has a potential for improvement. Otherwise, if you don't keep on innovation, you don't keep on improving, then you are dying.
In one sentence, how would you describe Silqu?
I would say it's the problem solvers in tenancy or managing property. It's a problem solver.